Coming up on UCF Nightly News, learn more about a troubling sexual incident that happened in a parking garage at a student apartment complex.
Plus, more than 3,000 people have already cast their ballots at the early voting location on campus. But having a polling place at UCF wasn't always a given. Find out how we got one.
And we'll show you how one UCF alumnus is making waves in the Orlando business community. Find out what he says can help you start the career of your dreams.
In sports, we'll have a recap for you for UCF's football game versus Temple last night.
Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Olivia Parsons.
And I'm Emily Anderson. Today is Friday, November 2nd, 2018.
Seminole County Sheriff's deputies are looking for a man who committed a lewd act at the station apartments near UCF. This happened around 3:30 in the morning at the station's parking garage Sunday. According to the incident report, the victim arrived on the 3rd floor to park in guest parking. The victim said she parked her car and noticed a man approaching her vehicle. She noticed the suspect was touching himself inappropriately, so she locked her doors. Then he proceeded to jump on the hood of her car and perform lewd acts. Shortly after, he drove off in a light blue Hyundai. The victim said the man appeared to be in his 20s, around 5'5", with glasses and facial hair. The management at the station apartments declined to comment on the incident and had no comments on if they plan to improve their security.
UCF now has an early voting site on campus. The Live Oak Event Center is open to all voters registered in Orange County, including UCF students and employees. Nightly News reporter Kennedy Holder shares what it took to make this possible.
Who got the power? We got the power!
For the first time, UCF is hosting an early voting site. In 2014, Florida Secretary of State Ken Detzner found that colleges didn't meet state guidelines for early voting sites. It wasn't until this May that the ban was challenged. Earlier this year, a ban on college campuses as early voting sites was deemed unconstitutional. Now students can line up at the polls right here at the Live Oak Center at UCF. State Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith represents Florida House District 49 and is currently up for re-election. Smith believes on-campus voting sites leave no excuses to not vote this election cycle.
Exercising our right to vote, that is the highest form of patriotism.
Dolores Huerta is an activist known for co-founding the National Farm Workers Association with Cesar Chavez. Huerta spoke at UCF this week and shared her excitement upon learning that UCF hosted an early voting site.
The only good news that I heard today is that you all can vote on your campus. I thought, whoa, that is really awesome. Because basically what that means, that this campus here could determine who's going to get elected in Florida. Can you imagine that?
Early voting is allowed up to 15 days before an election. In Orlando, Kennedy Holder, UCF Nightly News.
Campus voting is open daily from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Early voting ends this Sunday, November 4th, and Election Day is this upcoming Tuesday, November 6th.
And whenever you decide to vote, be sure that you go into that booth prepared.
There's a long list of offices and amendments you'll be voting for, and some you may not be familiar with. Nightly News reporter Ramaya Thicklin is going to tell us about what's actually on the ballot. Ramaya?
That's right, Olivia. If you're registered to vote on the UCF campus, you'll see about 13 public offices up for a vote on the ballot this year, along with the 12 proposed constitutional amendments. For the U.S. Senate, we have a race between Senator Bill Nelson and Republican, who is also the governor, Rick Scott. For the U.S. House Representative, UCF lies in the 7th congressional districts. We have a contest between Democrat Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy and Republican Mike Miller. The governor of Florida is state chief executive, sort of like a president at the state level. The governor enforces state laws, conveys the state legislature, grants pardons, and has the power to veto bills passed by the legislature. That's the race between Tallahassee's Mayor Andrew Gillum and former Congressman Republican Ron DeSantis. Next up on the ballot is Attorney General, who is the top lawyer for the state of Florida, tasked with combating fraud and enforcing state antitrust laws. For Attorney General, we have Democratic State Representative Sean Shaw and Republican Ashley Moody. Below that, you'll find a race for Chief Financial Officer. The Chief Financial Officer manages states' finances, oversees accounting, payroll, auditing, distributes, and state money. The contest includes Republican Jimmy Patronis, former state senator Jeremy Ring. The Commissioner of Agriculture is a unique statewide office. In addition to overseeing agriculture, like the name says, the commissioner is responsible for overseeing the state's licensing procedures for concealed carry permits, charities, car repair shops, and the candidates vying for this office are Democrats Nikki Fried, Republican State Representatives Matt Caldwell. Once you get through with the candidates, you'll find yourself staring down 12 proposed constitutional amendments. Two of the most highly public amendments are 3 and 4. Amendment 3 would require any casino built in Florida to be first approved directly by Florida's voters. While advocates for the initiative more democracy, it's a good thing that the opponents claim amendments will encourage monopolies in the gaming industry. Amendment 4 will change Florida's voting system to allow 1.4 million Floridians with felonies convicted on their records, excluding murder and sexual felonies, to vote. Currently, Florida is only 4 states in the country with a lifetime ban on voting individually with those convictions. Those against Amendment 4 claim it would be dangerous for those in a blanket fashion, while advocates preach that everyone deserves a second chance. There's a lot more on the ballot this year, but we want to make sure you're informed that what you're voting for or against when you step into that booth. Thank you, and back to the desk.
A UCF alum will soon receive the Orlando Business Journal's 40 Under 40 award for his accomplishments. Kerry Sobel has been a part of or owned 8 businesses in his time since graduating from the university, and I got to sit down with Kerry and ask him how UCF helped to shape and create a brand for himself.
So if you're going to go get a job and you look at it like a job, you have to love it.
UCF alum Kerry Sobel used to go to the College of Business, but now he's a partner and chief strategy officer at 321, a marketing company. And next week, he'll receive the Orlando Business Journal's 40 Under 40 award for his economic impact in the local community.
When I got to Orlando in 2005, and I learned what the Orlando Business Journal was, and I saw these people getting 40 under 40, I said it had to have been in 2006. I said, I will get that award someday.
Kerry says he did this by figuring out what motivates him.
I don't have a job. I come into work every day here, and I love what I do. I don't look at it like a job. I look at it as a challenge that I enjoy trying to solve.
And he encourages others to try and take the same approach.
Figure out what you love to do and follow your passion, and it may not come as quick as the linear path, but you will be way happier ultimately doing what you like.
Kerry found help along the way from UCF Director of the Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership, Cameron Ford.
It's really great to see people like Kerry kind of decide they're going to pursue their own interests and are resourceful enough to figure out kind of how to make that happen.
He says this isn't the first time Kerry's seen these types of awards.
Kerry won an award from the College of Business as a young up-and-coming entrepreneur, really just reflecting his achievements in the community.
Which has helped Kerry to make a name for himself in such a big city.
You know, he's really on his way to being a real rock star here in the community.
And Kerry couldn't be more thankful.
That's why I love my experience at UCF. It was the relationships that I built with the professors outside of the classroom.
In Orlando, Olivia Parsons, UCF Nightly News.
I wanted the independence.
The 40 Under 40 award this upcoming Thursday. He says at his time here at UCF, it wasn't about what the textbooks or professors taught him, but it was about the business that he built around the UCF network.
A new study by Fidelity Investments finds less parents are helping their college-age children pay for school. 2 years ago, 43% of parents planned to pay for their child's higher education in full. Now, only 29% of parents will do the same. And 40% don't tell their kids that they will have to shoulder these costs on their own until they get to school. However, some students are still grateful for this learning opportunity to mature and learn how to take care of themselves.
They wanted me to be independent, and I wanted to do this for myself, so I moved out when I was 18. I went into off-campus living in an apartment with rent and groceries and gas.
For more information on available financial assistance, students can visit the UCF Financial Aid website. Each UCF college has a list of unique scholarships that students can apply for. Well, Olivia, it's finally feeling like fall here in Central Florida. I was beginning to think the summer heat would last forever.
I know. Thank God that things are starting to cool down. Cassidy, can you tell us what the weather's looking like for outside?
I can tell you what the weather's looking like outside, but I can't tell you that the temperatures are going to be any cooler. But right now it's looking like we're having a low of 73, so cooling down a little bit for the first weekend in November. But we still have that high humidity, and we have winds coming in from the south at about 13 miles per hour, and we have a 30% chance of rain. So looking a little bit cooler, but coming up I'll be telling you about how we have some rain coming in on Sunday, which is expected to actually make it warmer outside instead of cooler. But for right now, we can go back to the desk with Olivia and Emily.
Thanks, Cassidy. Coming up, UCF students attended an audition in Miami this week for a remake of a classic film.
But whether or not they get the job isn't the only thing they're worried about. Find out more after the break.
We'll be right back. As Steven Spielberg gears up to remake the classic 1961 movie musical West Side Story, some in the UCF community are keeping a close eye on the casting process. Nightly News reporter Alex Storer has more.
Confused would be the word that I would use.
That's how Yolanda Gonzalez feels when she sees white actors Natalie Wood and George Chakiris playing the Puerto Rican characters Maria and Bernardo in the 1961 film West Side Story. Gonzalez auditioned in Miami on Monday for Steven Spielberg's coming remake.
If I can be a part of maybe taking one step further in the right direction, or maybe be a part of something that was so great, but could be great in the future, a little more modern and even more correct, I would absolutely love to be a part of that.
Barry Sandler, a UCF film professor, thinks the original film needs to be viewed in its historical context.
We were in a different time period then. I mean, we weren't that conscious of casting according to race.
Ibis Enid Rodriguez is an actress and singer with a BA in theater and now a UCF master's student who studies Latin American and Spanish culture.
We are looking for those opportunities, and we don't have too many. So when an opportunity like a West Side Story, a remake, is going to happen again, why not give the opportunity to us?
Everyone I spoke to is optimistic Spielberg will cast Hispanic actors in the corresponding roles. Now, for those who auditioned and those who didn't, It's a waiting game to see what that cast list will look like. In Orlando, Alex Storer, UCF Nightly News.
We don't have a release date yet for the West Side Story remake, but production on the film is slated to begin next summer. Coming up, we'll check back in with Cassidy for our highs and lows across the state and our 5-day forecast.
Plus, November is National Veterans Month, but according to the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, nearly 3,000 vets in this state are homeless. Find out what UCF is doing to help them after this. November is Veterans Month. One day this week, an event was held called the Yellow Ribbon Project. The UCF Community Veterans History Project and the Veterans Academic Resource Center joined with the Art and History Museums in Maitland. The Yellow Ribbon Project is a community art movement that involves fiber bombing trees with yellow cords or ribbons. The goal of this was to create awareness of veterans' homelessness. Assistant Professor of History, Dr. Barbara A. Gannon, says veterans are everywhere.
Do not forget the homeless, but also look around and see the contributions veterans make to our community every day.
UCF will be hosting more events for Veterans Month throughout November. To learn more about this, students can go to the UCF events page and look up the tag Veterans Academics Resource Center. Olivia, I'm hoping this cool fall weather will keep coming our way.
I know. I have so many fall outfits. Haven't worn one because it's just been so hot out. Cassidy, give us some hope.
All right, guys, it looks like this weekend you might actually be able to whip out those fall outfits that you're talking about, but after this weekend, probably not. Right across the state, you can see temperatures are cooling down. Tallahassee, we have some serious lows going on. The high right now is 70. In Jacksonville, it's 73. In Orlando, it's 73. Tampa, 75. Miami, 78. And now for our lows, which I want to point out, Tallahassee again, 47. Too bad we're not up there. I mean, you could be wearing those fall outfits for sure up there. Maybe even a winter coat. But in Jacksonville, we have a 52, Tampa, 61, Orlando, 61, and Miami, 75. So they are definitely still feeling the heat, even though it is the first weekend of November. And now let's take a look at that 5-day forecast. We're working on getting some rain on Sunday. Unfortunately, that's only going to be heating us up. So on Monday, we're going to have some highs of 86. And for the rest of the week, it's going to be hot as well. So no more fall outfits. Back to you, Emily and Olivia.
Well, we were on the sidelines last night for UCF's football game against Temple. We'll take a look at the highlights from the game and what the results mean for the team moving forward.
Plus, the men's soccer team hasn't lost a game in 6 weeks, and they have a huge opportunity coming up tonight. Find out more about the big game when we come back.
Oh, why hello there. Don't mind me, I was just looking up in this old dictionary here the word defense, because the two teams that played last night showed very little of it, especially in the first half. Anyhow, Evan Abramson and Nathaniel Rivas here for your UCF Sports News, and thanks for sticking with us.
And now to Spectrum Stadium we go for number 12 UCF hosting Temple.
Milton is back, but he didn't look his best. Knights in some sharp space uniforms staying undefeated with an 8-0 record, keeping a 21-win streak going, all while utilizing a 52-40 win. Nathaniel, to the gridiron we go. Tell me about this game.
And that's right. This is the second game this season that the UCF defense waited till the second half to wake up and can be keeping up with some throwback of NASA. We'll go pop culture. Hello, McFly. Hello, Knights defense. Wake up. Big offensive drive here by the Temple Owls, marching down the field, and this will lead to a 41-yard field goal.
Yeah, Nathaniel, defense not looking too pretty this game. Over 1,300 combined offensive yards in this game by both teams. Very next drive, Milton on a 1st and 10 from the 19, finding Dredrick Nelson with the grab in the corner of the end zone. Look at the wide receiver planting his feet in bounds. More than 7 different lead changes in this high-scoring game.
And speaking of lead changes, Evan, Temple quarterback Anthony Russo helping Temple set a new program record for most offensive yards in the game, 670 total yards. The Owls here marching down the field using both air and the ground game. Russo getting the job done with Brandon Mack off the 18-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, exciting game to say the least, and I know at times fans probably not thrilled with what they were seeing. Let's see what head coach Josh Heupel and Milton had to say.
I thought the defense played much better in the second half. Communication in secondary, busted a couple times early, and find a way to make enough plays.
I think it's always fun playing in games like this. You know, a lot of points being scored. Hats off to Temple. Their quarterback played his butt off. He was making some great throws out there. But, you know, when we needed to step up big, our defense got some turnovers, and we made some plays.
So we just went through some of the highlights, and we've heard from Milton and Heupel. This is the first game UCF played after the newly released college football playoff poll. Current rankings can be seen behind us. Now, Nathaniel, I went ahead and put a poll out on Twitter this morning asking what grades fans would give the football team last night. Not as many responses as I would have hoped. I blame myself for that little fiasco, but only about 100 votes, and the majority of people gave UCF a B, about 62% on that grade. 10% of voters gave UCF an A. Not sure what you were watching, but I guess bonus points for the win and how the uniforms looked. 24% gave the team a C, and about 4% of the voters don't even want to talk about the game, selecting option D.
I mean, I gotta agree with them. Those uniforms were really cool, but I would give them a C off the performance last night. Look, if we want to compete with #1 Alabama, we can't be giving up 670 yards to a team like Temple and expect to be in the top 10 of this college football playoff, because Alabama, they're averaging 54 points a game right now. Just can't do that for this team.
Yeah, Alabama's a scary team. I think I'm going to go with a B as well for this team. Couple bad throws by Milton, didn't look his best, but he got the job done when UCF needed him. Still 52 points by the offense. Defense has to improve. Temple's a good team, but they're not 40 points on a number 12 playoff ranked team good. Either our defense needs a little help, or Temple is dramatically underrated by the entire nation.
Anyhow, big matchups this week for the teams ranked high in the college football playoff rankings.
Absolutely crucial if the Knights want to have any chance of moving up. Strength of schedule is getting better with a win over Temple and Cincinnati and USF coming up, but games to watch are #1 Alabama versus #3 LSU, #5 Michigan taking on #14 Penn State, and #6 Georgia taking on #9 Kentucky.
And don't forget, a 2-loss Florida Gators team is taking on a 4-4 Missouri. Knights are rooting for another Gators loss to try and jump them. Well, moving from the gridiron to a pitch. A busy night lays in store for the men's soccer team tonight. Not only is the conference on the line, but it's senior night. The 9th-ranked Knights will host Cincinnati for the final game of the regular season. A win would give UCF home field advantage for the conference tournament and the regular season title. UCF has the head-to-head advantage against SMU, who is in 2nd place. And 10 UCF seniors will also be honored at the match. Head coach Scott Calabrese says preparation for Friday hasn't changed, yet this game is still very important.
We need to turn in a really good performance, and that performance is us being ourselves and possessing the ball, circulating the ball quickly, pulling teams apart, attacking them, repressing them, putting them under pressure.
The match tonight is set for 7 p.m. at UCF Soccer Complex, and conference tournament will start next week on November 6th.
Well, that's all the time we have for sports today. Thanks for sticking with us. And if you feel angry or passionate about anything we said today, be sure to reach us out on Twitter at Evan Abramson and Nathaniel Rivas 9.
Well, that's all our time for right now. Thank you for joining us. And remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our Twitter at UCF Nightly News.
And if you've got a story idea you want us to know, send it our way. You can read us at nightlynewsucf.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.